Good afternoon and welcome. This is a new way of doing the release podcast I haven't tried before, but figured it was worth a shot. Every time that we've put out a record in the past, I've done a video where I've kind of explained how the record came to be, why we made it, what is on it, and just my overall reflection on the thing itself. And for those of you that have noticed, we just put out our second sampler, Discmill Records Sampler Volume 2. Loose Ends and New Friends is out on CD on discmillrecords.com as well as in stores at John's Entertainment in Morris. You can also stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, anywhere that you get your digital music. It is now available. So without further ado, we're just going to dive into this thing. The first track on the sampler is It Over by Isaiah Marcus Jorgensen. Isaiah is a dude that I met when I started recording, trying to pick up different artists for the label as that was getting going. We had a big party at the house that we were renting in Hancock, and the late season kind of formed out of that party with Evan and Tyler and all the dudes in the late season. So from there we scheduled the first recording session with those guys when they started jamming and writing, and I met Isaiah. Was really taken by how much he knew about just the inner workings of his equipment as a guitar player, and the recording process wasn't a total mystery to him, which was odd to me, but we just became fast friends. And as I've gotten to know Isaiah over the last couple of years, he has started recording acoustic videos on his Instagram account, and yeah, mainly just doing covers and stuff like that. But as he continued to do that, there was a morning that I was listening to, I think it was a Bright Eyes cover that he did, and my wife Kaylin, she said, "Who is that?" You know, not knowing what I was listening to, and I was like, "That's actually Isaiah." And she thought that was really, really great. And so when the idea came around to do a second sampler, she basically was like, "Yeah, make sure Isaiah's on this list because he can do something." So I just kind of started poking the bear, like, "Hey, try writing something, try putting something together, see what you can do." And he recorded this himself up in Duluth, and sent it to Matthew Kaiser in Hutchinson for the first mix. I did some touching up to it, and for the most part we kept it really simple and left it alone. I was really, really happy with how it came out, and hopefully he'll be putting something else together. I'd like to see a full length from this guy for sure. So without further ado, this is It Over by Isaiah Marcus Jorgensen.
Up high, we're alive. I'm a child inside. Sometimes I find the world seems small. The mind, it shines when you're at that height. The deepest brown eyes remind me of fall. Now if you thought that winter come with cold, I know now waste has filling full with snow. Now waste has filling full, it's overflowing. I'm overflowing. Down low, it's a fight. I'm a man and I cry. Sometimes I find our world's just not enough. So if Father Time finally gives me a sign, he is it over kind, reminds us it's not. Now if you thought that summer'd come with warmth, I know now down those filling full with snow. Now down those filling full, it's overflowing. And we can, oh hell, I know we can. It's not as daunting as the plan first made it out to be. We'll make it out, you'll see the end, and we will, oh hell, I know we will. earth's sweet way of telling us our mothers swim among the rivers, roaring currents, unholy burdens out. Not as daunting as the plan first made it out to be. We'll make it out, you'll see the end, and we will, oh hell, I know we will. It's Earth's sweet way of telling us our mothers swim among the rivers, roaring currents, unholy burdens, and we can, oh hell, I know we can. It's not as daunting as the plan first made it out to be. We'll make it out, you'll see the end, and we will, oh hell, I know we will. It's Earth's sweet way of telling us our mothers swim among the rivers, roaring currents, unholy burdens, oh.
So that's Is It Over by Isaiah Marcus Jorgensen. Track number 2 on the sampler is Winter Wind by Alex Lageson. So Alex has been a friend of ours for years. We went to high school together in Benson, and he's been picking at the guitar off and on, I think since we were in high school, but he recently, I'd say over the course of the last year, has been sending me and the Discmill Records group chat, once I got him in there, to just different guitar videos, things he's working on. He's been learning some covers, stuff like that, and eventually started, recording and writing some of his own tunes. I know that Benno went and hung out with him and did a rough take of, I think it was Winter Wind. I guess I'm not really sure which song it was, but off and on he's just kind of been trying to put stuff together. So he got in touch with me when he saw that I had upgraded my recording situation and wanted to get, some songs on tape. So we made a plan to do 7 songs, and I asked him, my usual routine, you want to do backbones and then just kind of add to them and see what we come up with, or do you want to focus on a single? Let's put that out and then build a record off of that. And we did the backbone for Winter Wind, not knowing how far we would take it, and we ended up finishing a demo of it. The demo was a lot slower, and I love the demo version of it. We passed it around with some guys that were going to work on it, and we were ready to move forward with that, but he just didn't quite feel like it captured what he meant the song to. So we ended up starting from scratch and just starting over with it, but he did some structural changes. He changed the key, and it's a little bit faster, but it ended up coming out really nice. Anthony Hands played bass on it. I sent that to him just through email, and he was able to email me back 2 different bass lines to pick from and edit. I took the track to Silver Lake to record drums with Tyler Guest, brought it back home, and then added slide guitar myself. Benno had dropped off a guitar that he asked me to do some work on. I replaced the nut in the saddle and restrung it, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to get it to sit quite just right. It's not perfect, but it's functional for sure. So I put it in open tuning and just put a microphone over my lap and just laid the guitar down and just picked at it, and ended up doing the lead that you hear on that track. So yeah, that's how we put it together. And Alex has got a heap of more songs. He had 6 more, and now his stack is climbing. I'm trying to get him to 10, including Winter Wind, and I don't know if this year is going to be the year. It'd be great if it would be. We're trying to work out a recording schedule right now, so without further ado, this is Winter Wind by Alex Lageson.
It's cold out here and the wind is always blowing. Lost in this mess and I can't find where I'm going. It feels so real and it feels like I'm not even here. Going up against a mountain, gotta face all of my fear. White lights got my eyes a-stinging. The screaming in my head has got my ears a-ringing. I'm cold down to the bone and I can't warm up. When you lie face down on the floor, it's hard to get up. It's so rough, it's always cold out here. Snow is falling, it's finally starting to clear. I can't believe that it's almost time again. Gonna let it roll away with the winter wind. Sorrow comes along to hold your hand, pouring out from the inside of this hollow man. Seems like no good can come from this winter wind. Starting to see why I just can't let it in. This feeling began or when it ends. Holding on to something that I can never hold again. Gotta let it go with my heart and both of my hands. Don't know when this feeling began or when it ends. Oh, 'cause it's so rough, it's always cold out here. Snow is falling, it's finally starting to clear. Can't believe that it's almost time again. Gonna let it roll away with the winter wind. Can't believe that it's almost time again. Gonna let it roll away with the winter wind.
So it's Winter Wind by Alex Lageson. Track 3 on this, hey, it's mine. Miles is a tune that I wrote exclusively for this sampler. I've got an extensive back catalog of demos that I've worked on. I wouldn't necessarily call anything that I've done just with my own name on it finished, but I've got a lot of stuff to work on and not nearly enough time or resources to do it the way I think it should be done. But for this, you know, really what we're doing is opening channels for our loose ends and our new friends, right? So anybody that's on the sampler that we haven't included before is kind of in the new friends category of wanting to build something for them and see how it works out, and anything that's a loose end would be stuff that is already on the Discmill Records website, but we hadn't digitally distributed the back catalog. So that's my stuff, that's the Richards, the Scoot City electronic dance music stuff. It's yeah, it's just tying up the things that could be digitally released but didn't have an avenue before. Now they do. And so my name being on there means that I can start funneling that stuff through there too. But I didn't want to just recycle something that I'd previously done, and I haven't written anything in about a year. So decided to kind of see where my taste and where my brain is at, and what I was really trying to do was write a Ben Howard song. That was kind of the main idea I had. I had this little guitar riff, and I've been tuning my acoustic down a lot since I've been playing 7-string this last year. And so I tuned it down 2 full steps and didn't restring it, just left it wobbly and kind of picked at it and tried to keep the lyrics really simple. And it started coming out really weird. And so I just kept building on it and decided to do drums. So I was able to pack up my Tascam machine, and I actually brought it to where I work at the Heartland Girls Ranch and taught some of the at-risk teens there how to mic up a drum set. They ran the machine, I played the drums, and it was a educational experience for them. It was definitely fun for me to do and compose and piece together and be able to put together something different for this sampler. So this is Miles by myself, Scott Thompson.
I find it hard to say. All the things I appreciate, love, I find it hard to say. All the things I appreciate.
Family we have and the life that we build, it grows and grows and grows and grows. The family we have and the life that we build, it grows and grows and grows and grows.
'Cause we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. Yeah, we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. Yeah, we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. Yeah, we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. It seems never ending. The journey is the gift, not a prize to dig from a mighty pit. got miles and miles left to go, my love. Yeah, we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. We've got miles and miles left to go, my love. Yeah, we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. It's the quiet things that occur when we say what we really mean. It's quiet things that occur when we finally say what we really mean. It's the quiet things that occur when we finally say what we really mean. It's the quiet things that occur when we finally say what we really mean. So we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. Yeah, we've got miles and miles left to go, my love. We've got miles and miles left to go, my love. Yeah, we've got miles and miles left to go, my love.
All right, so it's Miles by me. There you go. Track number 4 is Beggars Can Be Choosers by Vintage Joseph. So Vintage Joseph is a dude that I've seen working on different projects around the Starbuck area, and we did an acoustic kind of showcase where it was people that we had worked with. Phil was there, Brenna was there, Benno and Jake were there, I was there. But then we had Alex the Traveler, William J. Campbell, who's on the sampler later, and then Vintage Joseph. And so he had told me at that acoustic show, it was at McKinney's, it was like the fall of 2018, I think. He said that he was working on a full length that was really putting a lot of time and attention to detail into how the tracks were coming together, and I just thought his set was great. There may be a clip of that on this YouTube channel, but you'd have to do some digging, I'm not sure. But yeah, I just really liked his style. He's got kind of a jangly kind of, I don't know, it's folkish. It's just Vintage Joe, man. It's just, he's got this tone to him that I really, really like. And, I like being able to help artists in our area that haven't had any sort of exposure to whatever digital outlets, or just an audience that can stumble across this online if they don't already have a presence. I want to be a bit of an amplifier for those guys, and Vintage Joe definitely earned that spot for me just with that acoustic performance, but then also seeing the other projects he works with Will on has been really cool to keep tabs on, and I wanted to give that a bigger outlet. So without further ado, this is Beggars Can Be Choosers by Vintage Joseph.
And I'll be on my way. I won't let them cross my path, but I'll let them rock next to me. And then I'll catch my peripheral eye, let them know I'm not afraid to die. I won't catch the fear they try to sell me, so they fall behind. Say hello to the blinded seekers that stumble all the time. They ain't got a place to go, but they always seem to fall in line. Just keep your eyes ahead, don't get distracted by the lies. The fiction lies are true in the eyes, so don't get lost in the storyteller's scene. Hey man, what are you thinking for? There's plenty of branches floating on down the shore. I said, hey man, what are you thinking for? Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath. Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath. I say hello to the hindsight talkers that don't got much to say. Let them give me the weather report, then I'll probably be on my way. Then I give a thank you ma'am and I thank them for the time. The conversation don't go deep because they always say inside the lines. I say hello to the hungry people, this fridge is full of food. They don't got a crumb to share, but leftovers are in the trash. They'll sit and watch the world be burned into an ash. For they spare any water, they don't know you a goddamn thing. Hey man, what are you thinking for? There's plenty of branches floating on down the shore. I said, hey man, what are you thinking for? Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath. Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath. And I'll be on my way. I won't let him cross my path, but I'll let him walk next to me. Then I'll catch up my peripheral eye, let him know I'm not afraid to die. I won't catch the fear they try to sell me, so they fall behind. Hey man, what are you thinking for? There's plenty of branches floating on down the shore. I said, hey man, what are you thinking for? Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath. Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath. Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath. Sick and tired of you closing your eyes and counting your goddamn breath.
Track 5 is Get Famous by Evan Robert Vosick. Now, Evan and I go a good few years back. The Robin Hood Hills had gone and played a show out in Hutchinson by the river, and he opened for what we were doing at that time, which was Jake would do an acoustic set, Benno would do one, I would do one, and then the Robin Hood Hills would play. Tyler introduced us to Evan, and he played his set first that day, and from there I kind of lost track with him. He came to Benson and played once. I think he played the Benson Liquor Store show with us, and then I didn't get to know him that well. I want to say that was back like 2013-ish. So as the years went on and I started getting around to the idea of making a label and stuff like that, somehow Evan's SoundCloud came up through someone somewhere, and I listened to it and I was like, this is really good. Why have I not done anything with this guy? I need to get in touch. I need to see what's going on with him. And so I just kind of, kept tabs on what he was doing. And then at that same Disc Mill Records meetup that we had in Hancock, he was there and played some acoustic songs, jammed with us in the basement, stuff like that, and got the late season rolling with Tyler and Evan and Benno and stuff like that. So, we've just become better friends, worked on more songs. Every time I'm in Silver Lake jamming with Ty and the Robin Hood Hills boys, Isaiah and Evan are there, and late season jams, and it's just kind of become this conglomerate of people who like working on tunes together. And so Evan's up in Duluth now, and he recorded this track himself. He sent it down to Matthew Kaiser to master. I took the track to Tyler in Silver Lake. He tracked the drums for it, and we did some gang vocals. Kalen and I and Isaiah did, with Evan, all joined in and did some gang vocals on this track. And when we talked about this when we were tracking the drums, I said this song really kind of sums up the whole idea of the label, which is like no one would ever put these records out. No one ever would have found these people and thought that they should put their records out. But we don't care. We just do what we do, and we're going to continue to. And if you pay attention to the lyrical content, for sure, he really, I think it's a pretty good anthem for why the label started and how it's continued on doing what it does. So this is Get Famous by Evan Robert Vosick.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get famous for this. Can we please? I'm not the type to take his time with talking. Sure you agree. I'm walking right up to the window at the record company and yelling, fuck you, we'll do this without you. Yeah, you'll see one day this will make it. Even if you think it's total shit, and I can't believe what the rest of them see. Get industrial greed, but we plan to be real famous for it. To get famous for this, what do I need? I'm writing banger after banger till my fucking fingers bleed. Could tell you reason upon reason why one day it'll be me. Until that day, all I can say is that I'm trying, oh well, one day this will make it. Even if you think it's total shit, and I can't believe what the rest of them see. Get industrial greed, but we plan to be real famous for it. Whoa, 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 we're fucking famous for this. Whoa, 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 we're fucking famous for this. We won't play live anywhere, won't even practice, I swear. Ooh, goddamn, these songs should be shared till we get famous for 'em. Till we get famous for 'em. We won't play live anywhere, won't even practice, I swear. Ooh, goddamn, these songs should be shared till we get famous for 'em. Till we get famous, I know that day we'll make it. Even if you think we're total shit, and I can't believe what the rest of them see. Get industrial greed, but we plan to be real famous, and one day this will make it. Even if you think it's total shit, and I can't believe what the rest of them see. Get industrial greed, but we plan to be real famous for it. Whoa, 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 we're fucking famous for this. Whoa, 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 we're fucking famous for this.
Same thing. You did this exact.
Track 6 is Within a Moment, Death is Real by William J. Campbell. I met Will when I first moved to Hancock, 2017-ish? I think it was the fall of 2017 I moved to Hancock, started renting a house there, and was working at Buddy's part-time, and got to know some of the Hancock music dudes through that. And Will's name came up pretty early on. As I got to know Zoom, I found out he was playing a show out in his farm site in Starbucks. So me and Caleb went up there one night, and it was Will's place. And so I got to meet him that night and see his setup there. It was a Midwest rap showcase. And then he did Utterfest out there every year. People kept talking about that. It was like this more kind of rock acoustic party type show. And so after we got the label established, or the year before, it was the spring before, so 2018, we were invited. Flower Talk played, Jake played, I did a set, and then that's where I got to really see what Will does with all of his different projects he's got going on. He played the same acoustic showcase that we did with Vintage Joe. He's come along and helped run sound on a hip-hop show that I've done. Will's just become like a really great resource as far as just like the teamwork aspect and like being able to find other people who aren't just players but also engineers and just different skill sets. He went to school for recording. He's really got a great ear for things, and he's just a really nice guy to bounce ideas off of and to work with. So, when it came to doing this sampler in particular, I was like wanting to give Will just a little bit of a spot in what we do because of not only him being in the area, but also the song's great. His record he gave to me when we played that acoustic show, I got a copy of it that night, and I instantly was like, this is like way, way better than I was expecting. Not that I would think Will would put out a record that sucks, but it's just like incredibly well done. So I really liked his record a lot and was hoping that I would be able to put something out for him someday. And it's great to have this track, and I know he's always working on more stuff. So without wasting too much time, I'd say let's just listen to Within a Moment, Death is Real by William J. Campbell.
And fight
So, track number 7 is another one of mine. Scoot City is my electronic dance music side project I do, kind of in between being able to work with people. I get kind of just bored and want to try something different, and electronic dance music is kind of I treat it more like building a tractor than I do trying to get a point across. It's kind of I don't know, it's a different sort of craft, and I really enjoy experimenting with different types of sounds and different types of just tempos and beats that I don't do with the rock bands and the acoustic stuff that I mainly do. So it's been a cool project. I finished one record last year. Me and Benno worked together on a track for New Year's Eve last year, and then this year I've been kind of toying with different tools as I updated my studio. And yeah, this track in particular, Punkin', is actually my son Weston, who was born in September. We have a sonogram machine at home. There's a video on this YouTube channel that shows how I did this. Basically, I ran the sonogram through computer speakers and then put a 57 on that speaker, ran that into the garage where I had the studio set up at the time, and was able to record his heartbeat. The machine says what the BPM is of the heartbeat when you're, checking out, making sure the little guy's okay in there. And so what I was able to do was set the tempo of the track to what the BPM said on the sonogram, and then from there I just messed with stuff. And I've shown it to a few people, and I gotta say, of the electronic dance music songs that I've made, it's the only one that actually makes people like kind of, like this kind of does like have a dance feel to it. The most of what I work on ends up being so weird that it's just like, all right, good job, buddy. Yep, okay. But this track actually has some kind of swing to it and a little bit of bump. So this is Punkin' by Scoot City. So track 8 is a re-recording of the first band that really got this whole kind of recording, which turned into the label type of thing going. The Richards was the band that I was in high school with Jake Thompson, Brody Hagen, and Adam Ness. I joined the summer before I started 9th grade, and I played with these guys all through high school until I went to college and went to recording school. So the Richards were, the kind of band that got me going when it came to writing original music. I'd been playing guitar for a couple of years, but I hadn't written or thought of really writing anything too much. With this particular recording, it's just one of those songs that there's a handful of these songs that there's like 30 people that were around between 2001 and 2003, and we had a few songs that people really like just jammed to. We had a basement that we could practice in and throw little shows in, and we had this little network of people who really cared about this band. And so when I got the label going, I had talked to Brody about re-recording some Richard stuff and seeing if Adam and Jake were on board, and they both were. So I redid the guitars and vocals first, and then had Brody come over, and I was in a 2-bedroom apartment living with Benno when we first tracked this, and Brody came over and did the drums, and he told me that day, he's like, there's like 3 people who found out that we're doing this, and they're super excited. And I'm like, you know what, that's good enough for me. I think he said Dan Martin was one of them. He's like, Dan Martin's excited. That's awesome. That's worth finishing it for at least. So I got Adam over while I was still living there to get the guitars. This bass line and Jake's backup vocals, we could never figure it out. We've spent so much time working on his 3rd record, Heron, that's nearly there. We've got a session planned for mid-January here to actually finish the damn thing, but God, we've been working on it 6-7 years, and it's just, with both of us having families and full-time jobs, it's been so tough to find time to do things. And when we get together, it's like, okay, we're gonna do all this stuff for your record, but for like 15 minutes, can we just lay down a bass line and do the vocals? And he always says yes, and for some reason we always seem to just not get it done. But this summer I finally picked a day, and I'm like, hey, today's the day, you're coming over, you're recording the bass and the vocals, and that's it. No JT Fremont today, we're just doing Richards. He's like, cool, sounds good, I'll be there. It was like 30 minutes and he was in and out. But yeah, I was able to take all the tracks that were, pieced together and mix it with the new studio. And they all kind of asked me, don't make it too different. You certainly, when you have these types of tools available to you, especially at home, you can make things a lot more exaggerated and a lot more different than they were. And I wanted it to be clean and clear, but I didn't want it to be totally different than what we sounded like then. I was very happy to redo the vocals because, it took me a long time to find my voice, and I still I still feel like I struggle with it, but at the same time, I definitely am more confident than I used to be. So, this is the 2020 re-recorded version of Eat Your Heart Out by the Richards.
Your desk is right next to mine, and our eyes meet with a car crash intensity. And I hate the way that your eyes lie when they look into mine. And I hate how fast everything changed. Oh. This side of me, it moves me, 'cause I'm leaning against a train. These thoughts of you, they linger. Why I even bother
so before we go on, I would like to take a moment to talk about the packaging of this record too. This is the first thing that we've manufactured in-house. We've shelled out a good amount of money for people who work full-time and have families to press CDs, and it doesn't make a ton of sense right now, especially considering, everything that's going on, people not being able to play shows and whatnot. It's just, physical products are tough. The long-term goal has always been to pretty much primarily press vinyl, and we did press a 7-inch last year. It's not out yet because of the pandemic. It was set to, WeatherCheck's first 7-inch was due to come out the day that the lockdown went into place in Minneapolis on March 27th, and so that kind of, as far as like financially and like our momentum goes, that kind of took the wind out of our sails. This sampler is really like, it's just a testament to our persistence. Like there's no real reason to give up, because there never was a reason to start. We did it because we wanted to, not because there was any like attainable goal, or as far as financially, it's never been something that we have expected to pay bills on. It'd be nice, but we put out what we do because it needs to be heard by someone. And I don't know who those people are, but I know that music has helped me a lot through the years and continues to. And I think that between the projects that I intimately work on and the projects that we choose to showcase, it's important music. It's Minnesota culture. As far as I'm concerned, that's worth preserving in a digital and physical format. So what we decided to do to press this one, because CD sales have been basically zero, is to press it in-house. Kaylin, being the art director of the label, if you will, she got a Cricut machine this fall, and with the Cricut machine we can do a lot. We're able to cut our own sleeves. We can draw on it. We're looking at printers now so that we'd be able to print and then cut with that. And then we got blank discs, and we just did, we had the Cricut machine cut us a stencil, and we spray painted just a real thin coat on top to put the Scissors logo on top of it. We've been playing with different colors with it. Honestly, we only pressed 15 copies. We brought 10 to John's, and we got 5 on hand to ship, so that if there's sales, we can get them out. But otherwise, there's no real intention of doing any more physical copies, especially of CDs, just because it's unfortunately a gigantic waste. But with that, it is a cool package. It's the most unique package, I would say. The 7-inch is cool. I can't wait till WeatherCheck's able to do their release show and to get that out. But for a CD, it's cool to be able to afford to send high quality artwork to copycats and have them manufacture them, and the big box comes and it's like, ooh, we made a thing. But to actually have hands-on, like every part of the process of piecing it together, it felt like what they talked about if you study how Discord got started, and how independent labels ought to run in a punk rock world anyway. This makes me feel a lot more like I'm getting that experience. If it ever grows beyond that, it'll be a blessing. But I don't mind making records in-house. I think it's kind of cool, and I think the packaging is really good. I just wanted to give a little info on how the physical product actually is. So the next track on this sampler is Eternity by Ruin. So I got to know Ruin. I should mention Matthew Kaiser again, because Kaiser is a engineer out of the Hutchinson area that I've met through. He came and saw the Robin Hood Hills play, the first late season show. The same night we met WeatherCheck, same night that we met Kaiser. He was sitting right up front when the Robin Hood Hills played, and he just, like, I kept making eyes with him when we were playing, because I'm like, this guy is like, it doesn't always happen. Never really had a lot of love for the Robin Hood Hills, especially outside of Benson. So for somebody to pay attention to the set, I'm going to go up to them and shake their hand and be like, hey, thanks. Glad we're paying attention at least. What did you think? And me and Kaiser just hit it off that night. And so he has been a part of putting on a lot of live shows in the Hutchinson area, and he's hired me to do live sound for them a lot, which has been just great. I never really had that before I met Kaiser. And he put on a show summer of 2019 called Sense of Karma. So it was Sense of Purpose and Karma Sutras, like kind of a merger festival of rock bands, and they let Flower Talk and JT Fremont went and played that, and then I ran sound, and they had bands from the Hutchinson area, and Ruin was on that day, and I had not heard them previous to that show, but they just blew me away. Like, it was just grungy, just super grungy, deep, dark metal, and I just, I listened to some of that music too, and it's like, man, I gave Cody, the drummer, a copy of the sampler, and I think I gave Brant, the bass player, I think I gave him one too, because I was just like, guys, let's do a thing. Like, I really enjoyed working with them, and so the early winter of 2019, Kaiser got a hold of me, and or no, it was 2020. It was this year. Yeah, it was January. Kaiser got a hold of me and said, "Hey, come stay in Hutchinson and master the Ruin record. We're finishing mixing it, and we want to master it and be done with it. We just want to take this weekend and be done. And we're going to go see Korn on Saturday night. So if you want to do that, they are in town. We'll all be there. So we're going to cut work early on Saturday night." It's like, okay. So me and Kayla went, and I spent 2 full days in Kaiser's house. They would be mixing, I would be mastering. They'd take discs out to the vehicle, they'd check it on the speakers, they'd check it on headphones, and I just had such a great time. And the record, it's a hell of a view. Just such a great front to back, just slamming metal record. It's really great. There's some textures and some tones and some atmospheres that they get into with this record that I haven't heard anybody else do. Mercury, the closing track alone, it's branching into a different realm of I mean, I don't know what else to call it other than really death metal. But it's got soul. It's not just run of the mill structured beats, structured words, whatever. It's just like they've created something truly original. And I think Eternity, they said that they thought this track was a little bit more digestible to a general audience like we have than, somebody who specifically likes metal. But I just, I told them, pick any song on the record, I don't care. They're all great. And Eternity has a chorus that just sails. It's just awesome. So I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to play Eternity by Ruin. last track on this sampler is Gun by Remnants of the Afterbirth. So Remnants of the Afterbirth is Will Campbell and Vintage Joe and these guys, this crew that they've got, and they played the same Utterfest that I attended and played, that Jake and Flower Talk went to. And I hadn't seen death metal live in a long time. I don't know if I've seen a band maybe when I was in college, there was a buddy of mine that used to take me to some hardcore shows. But for the most part, I haven't seen a band throw down in a very long time. And Remnants of the Afterbirth tore that place apart. It was just awesome. And yeah, they've got this kind of brotherhood kinship, and it's like not serious, like they're not trying to take over the world. They get together, they were wearing basketball jerseys, and they just slam. It was just great. And when I had Will on board for this sampler, I was like, yeah, let's if we can, let's put out a Remnants track too. They've got a record that he gave to me the night that I went to Utterfest, and I'm hoping to be able to bring that record to our audience as well, because the whole record is great. So yeah, that basically wraps up the sampler here. I'd like to thank you all for joining. Enjoy Gun by Remnants of the Afterbirth, and we'll see you guys next month on the next release.
It's hard to breathe with the gun down your throat. It's hard to breathe with the gun down your throat. It's hard to breathe with the gun down your throat. It's hard to breathe with the gun down your throat. It's hard to breathe with the gun down your throat.